Everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today for Understanding the Game, and that stands for Gambling and Money Matter Every Day. I'm Rita Wolfson. With me today also is Linda Benjamin, our relationship manager, and Leah or Olga Pontonen, and she is all things tech. Hopefully we don't have too many tech problems today.
We just start presenting your presentation, please. We don't see anything.
You can't see it. Okay, well, I'm glad you told me that. It says that I'm showing my screen. So what could the problem be?
Just turn again. And
I can start again, but you're not seeing the screen, you said, right?
We can see presentation.
But it says that you should be seeing it. It says,
just stop presenting and show it again.
There you go.
Okay.
Now it's up.
Okay. Hello again, everybody. We're not going to go through the entire welcome again, but it is a wonderful thing that you can see the presentation now. And I want to make sure that you have as much time as possible to listen to our guest speaker and do some Q&A. To get started, I want us to all welcome Chandra Parks. You're going to really appreciate her knowledge, her insight, and experience around gambling and about many other important topics that we, as helping professionals and social workers, address every day with our clients. So my welcome is to you personally and professionally, because from the very beginning of financial social work, I knew how important it was to make sure that our graduates were able to improve their own financial futures personally, as well as to add new tools to their client toolboxes professionally. If you have any need for tech help, you can go ahead and use this link, which Olga will have in the chat box. These slides are not shared, they are proprietary, and the recording will be on our website, YouTube, within a day or so. If you'd like to use it or share it with others, you can type your questions into the question box as we proceed, and we will answer as many as we have time for at the end of this training. There are no CEs or certificates of attendance for this webinar. I like to encourage everyone, whenever we're doing trainings, to breathe in and breathe out and to center yourself. We know that when you talk about money, it brings up a lot of thoughts and feelings, and the more centered and balanced you feel, the more able you are to hear important information. So let's all do at least one deep breath in and one slow exhale. I'm going to share with you our financial social work affirmation, which goes just for today. I will love myself enough to face my fears, practice self-acceptance, and embrace hope, silence my inner critic, speak my truths, and make peace with myself and with my past. Just for today, I will give myself permission to eliminate toxic people, beliefs, and behaviors from my life. And just for today, I will prepare for a better tomorrow by healing my relationship with my money and with myself. That does a really good job of summarizing financial social work and everything I've done over the 26 years since I started it. We like to start off with a picture to make you think and get engaged. So take a look and take a moment, and then we would really appreciate if you would share your answers in the question box, and Linda will share them with the rest of us. What does this graphic make you think of?
Society is jailed, financial jail.
Wow. Yeah, right.
Society is jailed by the dollar.
Truth.
Usage of money, a motive behind money.
It's just so fabulous what everybody shares.
Anyone else?
No one else?
Connecting with others costs money.
I was just thinking of something
Capitalism.
similar. What? Lynn?
Capitalism.
Hmm.
Financial jail. Fractured understanding. Gave me anxiety because it reminds me of how expensive it is to go out drinking with friends. The cost of entertaining and spending time with friends. The hidden truths about the usage of money. The restraints we are in based on the dollar.
Someone did this type of activity last year at a webinar she was doing for us. And I just loved the responses and decided to do these at our webinar. And I want to thank all of you for your participation. You come up with thoughts and ideas and reactions that I certainly haven't considered, but I do watch for graphics to share on these webinars that will be of interest and provoke us to think about money from different perspectives. Thanks, everybody. Let's keep going. Before I introduce our speaker, I just want you to know, since every time we do a monthly free webinar, we have new people who aren't familiar with financial social work. And these few slides will help you understand why we offer this free monthly webinar, and we have for well over a decade, on topics that we know are of interest to our graduates and our community. We know that no one chooses to have money problems, but most people do. And so we have financial social work, which is the intersection of social work, politics, economy, gender, economic, and social justice, and addressing all inequity. Financial social work is a behavioral model because until and unless behavior changes, nothing changes. It explores the financial thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, experiences, and values that each of us depend on as we navigate our lives and our money. So it's those thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, experiences, and values that drive our financial behavior. And financial behavior is how we earn, spend, save, share, and borrow. This practice of financial social work is interactive educational, motivational, reflective, supportive. It engages and it's strength-based. Also, it's holistic, multidisciplinary, hopeful, and helpful. And it does succeed individually and with groups. Financial social work is heart-centered. It approaches money and life from a perspective of healing, acceptance, courage, wellness, and honesty. But the core of my work really focuses on the relationship we each have with our money and with ourselves. It does involve self-discovery, self-care, self-healing, and recognizing and taking ownership of your financial health, wellness, and future. We have thousands of graduates across the United States and around the world, and we feel fortunate to be able to do this work and to bring you these monthly free webinars. And now it gives me so much pleasure to introduce Dr. Chandra Parks and turn over this training to her. So let me go ahead. Okay, Chandra. Did you get the presentation, Chandra?
Yes, I did. I am just
Good.
okay. Can everyone see my screen all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so thank you, Rita. Thank you for the Center for Financial Social Work, and thank you everyone for joining into day. My name is Chandra, so I'm just going to sit here as a friend and colleague as we have this wonderful conversation about understanding the game. Gambling and money matters every day, and guess what? It's not only every day, but it matters everywhere, every day, and every minute, and it matters to everyone, young and seasoned. Just a little about me. I am a master social worker. I am a graduate of the Center for Financial Social Work. So I am a certified financial social worker. I'm also I'm an accredited financial counselor candidate. So I am receiving additional financial counseling to match up with my financial social work. I actually sit in the seat as a board president here in Maryland of the Maryland Council on Problem Gambling. So, of course, this is an area that is passionate to me in the areas of terms of gambling and as well as money. Additional, I also hold the clergy certification in gambling and spiritual outreach. So that's an additional certification to allow me to speak within the faith-based communities on matters as it relates to gambling and finances as well. So for our time together, we're just going to go through like what is gambling, what are some of the different types of gambling, some of the financial considerations or the financial impact that gambling may have on the individuals, our communities as a whole, just something to begin for us to think about, as well as our role as financial social workers, how we may be able to assist individuals who may be impacted by gambling. And then share some resources with you. We'll go over one of the resources a little bit together. So if we look at the definition of gambling is the wagering of money or something of material value with an uncertain outcome with the primary intent of winning. So basically it is just risking something that has to do with money, or something of material value in hopes that you will win. According to the DSM-5, and this is a clinical diagnosis of what gambling or what disorder gambling, you would hear me say either problem gambling or disorder gambling, but in the DSM-5 it is disorder gambling. So we're trying to work in just in terms of language, trying to help remove the stigma of this person as a gambler, but being able to say that an individual with a disorder gambling or problem gambling problem. But this has to do with persistent and reoccurring problematic gambling behavior, leading to a clinically impairment or distress as indicated by an individual exhibiting 4 or more of these behaviors within a 12-month period. Now, I kind of highlighted the areas when you look at particular 4 behaviors. So looking at A, needs to gamble with increasing amounts of money. D is kind of preoccupied with that gambling and thinking of ways of how to get money in order to gamble. C, you can think about repeated unsuccessful attempts to control or cut back or stop gambling. Some other behavior, thinking about after losing money gambling, often returns another day to try to win back what was lost the day before. And the last one is I, relies on others to provide money to relieve desperate financial distress caused by gambling. So you may have a friend or you may know someone that say is always constantly asking and borrowing money to pay back some debt that they may have owed. So you may be wondering, well, why do I want to, bring that out? Because simply gambling is something that is happening every day. This is some different types of gambling. Now, just being as a person of being a board president with my, agency, we don't condemn or condone a person if they choose to gamble. Our particular role is to make sure that we are able to bring awareness and to help them gamble in a space that is responsible and that they're able to make wise decisions and safe decisions if they're going to, gamble. So you don't have to raise your hand, but think about it and you can put in a chat. Are you familiar with any of these types of form of gambling? There's the church bingo, March Madness, sports. How about the lottery? Each and every day we hear a lot of people sitting for that particular ticket as relates to scratch offs and wondering, is my number going to be called? Or if I could just win this particular lottery, then I don't have to worry about certain other areas. If I just win this lottery, then I can go to my dream destination. What about the casinos? Online gambling, bingo, 50-50. Fantasy sports. Oftentimes, a lot of people are talking about, day trading and with crypto, as that oftentimes that may mirror some, gambling, behavior. And although it's not the topic of this particular conversation, but another area that we do want to start to begin to pay attention to is the gaming, with the online gaming and gaming addictions. So that is another, area that we want to begin to talk about as well. So just a few couple in this, demographics, and this is just as relates to the casinos, that 30% of people who go to the casino houses are 60 years or older. Now, these numbers may have changed as people are finding other ways to gamble, and as we don't necessarily have to travel out anymore to go gambling, but we can actually gamble right in the comfort of our homes and our seats and simply be utilizing a cell phone or a computer. 50% are gamblers are male, 44 are female. Just the kind of differences between male and women is that a lot of the men may gamble towards wager on sports. Women may stay in an area of bingo. And as we know, sports betting has become legal in different states. So within that, there's about 60% of people who do engage in these particular gamut activities. So I'm just sharing that, but that information. So if you are aware of that information, that some form, this kind of gives you a broad understanding of where and what's happening, and you can kind of sit back and look within your particular community to say, hey, what's going on? Am I familiar? Is my community located near a casino? I'm here in the state of Maryland, and there are 6 casinos throughout the entire state of Maryland. Definitely, are there establishments where people are able to put in their betting? Definitely, some of the grocery stores, people are able to buy tickets, lottery tickets, scratch off some of the different gas stations. So just being kind of familiar where people are able to go and access to buy what they may need. And then of course, at being at home. And as I talked about beforehand, what's happening now online, any kind of gambling that's conducted over the internet. So there's computer and cell phone, different types that you can still gamble online is poker, you can do casino, you can do sports betting. Definitely there is some types of games that are not up here, but also games that allow people to gamble. So there's different opportunities, there's different doors within having access to being able to participate in any type of gambling activity. So I don't know if anyone has any questions thus far. Someone may ask a particular question in the the chat of the information that was just shared overall, just regarding gambling. This was just a history of that, just in case if you did not know or were aware. And most of the gambling that I just mentioned, from the church bingo, sports, the casinos, those are still what's considered to be what has been legalized within the different states. However, there are still some activities that are illegal that are underground. But for today's purposes, we are just keeping the conversation towards what has been considered to be legalized gambling. So sports betting, as you know, has definitely has become a billion-dollar industry since 2021. You think about our college sports revenue since 2021 has been $1.16 billion. March Madness alone, where you have 45 million Americans, will wager an estimate of $3.1 billion on the tournament, according to the American Gaming Association. This is just within sports betting alone. So you see the money that is being wagered in hopes to win. And You can see that through a lot of the different sports associations, that the amount of money that goes in hopes for a particular favorite team to win. And as you know, as the Super Bowl took place, this year earlier, and when we did watch the heart attack of one of the a football player, that game had to stop for several reasons. And it brought a lot of trauma because we did not know the outcome of that particular individual. However, at that moment of time, it opened up my eyes to see really what goes on behind the scenes of what's happening on the field as well as off the field. And at that moment of time, I could only imagine how many bets were on the table in terms of that had to be pulled off the table due to an incident on the field. What it was like for that individual who may have wagered their last paycheck in hopes to make ends meet. I could only imagine at that particular time what was going on in a particular relationship, that if money was not coming into the household, what type of housing would have been lost? What type of relationship would now have additional trauma inflicted on it because a certain outcome didn't go a certain way? So when we think about, gambling, those particular areas, and when there's an addiction, now we begin to kind of tie to what the cost of this addiction is like. What is that cost from a legal perspective? What is that cost from a family perspective? What is that cost from an environmental, perspective? What is that cost, and how do we begin to step in and help? So this is where the money matters shows up. And we think about our particular lifestyles in our lives. We look at the dimensional wellness. And when I have this particular screen here with the dimensional wellness from a public health standpoint, is that oftentimes we are trying to advocate and look at gambling through the lens of a public health equity lens. What is that impact on the health of the individual, the family, and the community from a micro level to a macro level? What is that impact on all particular parts? So if you look at the 8-dimensional wellness, think about that as the particular core of a particular individual. And we know that a particular individual may be impacted by these different areas. What's going on with their emotional life, their social life, occupational, financial, environmental, physical life. So when you go around that particular circle, what is that particular impact? 2, when we look at each particular bubble, we know that some impact of financial or money exchange happen in these particular areas. If you reflect back to that particular picture that Rita put up, you kind of looked at individuals that looked like they were in prison with the dollar bill that's changed. And there's a lot of individuals who mentioned that, oh my goodness gracious, what does the cost of going out look like with family and friends? Capitalism, the hidden meanings behind, money. You take that and you can put this in the image and look at how this now plays into, well, what is the hidden addiction? For those who may not know, gambling is considered to be a hidden addiction. Why? Because physically you cannot see what is happening if you're going down the street, if you're walking down the street with your friends, if you're walking with your family, if you're in a place of work establishment, you can't see if a person had a gambling problem. You only will not be able to uncover or unmask or unpack that when there's other factors or things that may come into place, such as, wait a minute, this person was in charge of the finances for our job, the treasurer, the CFO, but the book statements are not matching up. There's an unknown credit charge, or there's an unknown charge of a withdrawal from a bank account. going into a different account. Or we may not know what's happening until we may look at going to a bank account, and if you're in a relationship with someone, going to take money out of a joint account, only to look at it and realize, oh, the money is gone, it's not there. Or it may be with employment or a job where I'm supposed to be working, but I'm not really paying attention because my mind is preoccupied or something else. So I do not utilize my work time or the equipment in a healthy manner, because I'm now beginning to utilize my equipment so how I can make online bets through that, or how that interpersonal relationship may be impacted. My family, I'm skipping out on family time. There might be some type of interpartner, violence, because now instead of being healthy with my spouse or my partner, I become unhealthy because I'm angry because I'm not able to provide in a manner that I would, and now I'm mad, and so I no longer am able to be happy, or my partner is unable to trust me because I'm not doing what I said I will be able to do. Think about it from a legal aspect. Now, if I am caught gambling, there has to be some type of restitution or I have to make amends. I will have to make amends. But guess what? How did I attain that? If I stole money from someone, then that's a criminal activity. That is theft. That's now going to impact me legally. That's now going to impact me with that charge or what that degree may be of that charge, of whether I'm going to be able to keep my job or if I'm going to be able to get another particular job. There's a possibility because of that criminal activity, depending on how long it was going on, the impact of that activity, that now may lead me, I'm going to have to now go to prison. I might have to face time. How is that now going to impact every other system that there may be? Legally, there may be, in order to make amends for the debt that I might have taken for somebody else or I may have lost, there might be bankruptcy that I may have to file. I may lose everything that I have owned in order to pay off a debt or something I may owe to somebody else. So when we think about, this hidden addiction, we oftentimes now have to think about the addiction. We have to now think about what that financial impact and now how that is going to now trickle down to anyone else that may has been involved with us or in our sphere of influence, our homes, our communities, our employment. Possibly if we were prominent leaders in certain organizations, if we had or hold a professional license, it may end up happening that we may have to turn in our licensings or crime or something to that. So that particular impact is a never ending cycle. So we want to think about how this impacts us each and every day. So once a person is or does identify as having a problem gambling or dealing with disorder gambling, there is a program, a 12-step recovery program called Gamblers Anonymous. There is a recovery program. I have included the GA 12 steps because within this recovery program, an individual is working these particular steps. And in these particular steps, there is a portion where number 5, it says make or is making and searching a fearless moral and financial inventory of ourselves. So a person that's struggling with gambling addiction is on a continually basis is making a financial inventory of their selves, of their particular lives, of what's going on. So I want you to keep that in mind. Secondly, and lastly, is that they are keeping a list of all the people that they have harmed and are willing to make amends with them. And part of making amends with the individual that you may have harmed as relates to that financial inventory is being able to make restitution or being able to pay that individual back if there was money borrowed, if there was money stolen, to be able to pay that back. And to be able to do so when it's possible. And we recognize that not all times that a person is not able to make that particular amends for whatever reason, but if it's in that person's reason, if it's in their space, they're able to do that and it doesn't cause harm. Each individual is encouraged to make amends. Each individual is encouraged to pay their financial debt that has been owed or what they have taken. So it's encouraged. Not in all cases they're able to do that. Not in all cases, but for the most part, individuals are encouraged to do that. So that's part of being able to work that 12-step program. I have it here highlighted because as financial social workers or counselors or whoever is helping an individual from a financial aspect, you want to keep that in mind, that that's part of their program, being able to confront the financial behavior to make change. And that's why we're here, is to help people to heal and have a healthier relationship with their money. And as I mentioned beforehand, we can help. And this is how we, as certified financial social workers, educators, counselors, therapists, these are ways that we're able to help individuals because we do not know who's coming to us. So this is where we can help an individual as well as being able to help the families. So I don't know how your practice is set up, but being able to ask the questions, be open about asking, are there any addictions or things, or are you aware of gambling? Being able to include a gambling screening assessment in your intake. Being able to help individuals or families with risky gambling behaviors create a financial recovery care plan. And a financial recovery care plan is really simply helping an individual organize and take a inventory of their particular spending plan. Where are they spending that plan? Where are they spending their money? How and what? Looking at all of that, combined together and being able to help make a care plan. And included in that care plan is that if the gambler was the money manager in the household, being able to work with that individual to say who can now be the financial manager within the household to ensure that no other harm is being done to the finances. Being able to put safeguards in terms of bank accounts or what bank account that you're going to utilize. So that's part of that particular recovery plan. As financial social workers, we can begin to connect and collaborate with other behavioral and financial professionals to help address the money matters, because you're going to need someone, depending on the amount of money that a person may have lost or what is happening, you may need the support of a credit counselor, an attorney for matters of the home. Continue to have the open and honest and courageous conversations regarding public health discussions and the impact on the community. The financial social work professionals community does a good job of this each and every month by having the heartfelt conversations about money matters and the impact on different vulnerable communities, on different communities that we may serve. So you may not serve the community in a gaming or gambling, set, but it impacts your community, because when a person comes to you and say, you know what, I may not have enough money to pay my rent, pay my food, well, what's happening, what's going on, if you're working with them on a spending plan, is there something else that's going on in a household that is unable to make ends meet, especially with older adults, in terms of not being able to get their prescriptions fulfilled. Is there something else that's happening and what's going on? So being able to dig a little deeper and find out what's going on. I've included in the handouts, there's actually 2 handouts that you will receive. The first handout is this about the G.A.M.M.E, the 20 questions to see if you are connected with, or someone that may have a compulsive gambling problem, and if you're able to answer at 6 or more. So these are just helpful questions that you are able to start to begin to have the conversation. Do you find yourself constantly bothered by bill collectors? Is the person in question often away from home for long, unexplained periods of time? So what does that activity look like? Does this person ever lose time from work due to gambling? Do you feel that this person cannot be trusted with money? I'm not going to read all of them, but definitely, does this person borrow money to gamble with or to pay gambling debts? Number 11 that I just somehow talked about. Have you come to a point of hiding money needed for living expenses, knowing that you and the rest of the family may go without food and clothing if you do not? Does the person in question hide his or her money? Does this person use guilt induction as a method of shifting responsibility, or opposing his or her gambling upon you? Do you feel that your life together is a nightmare? So these were just an example of like 20 questions that you can have in your toolkit to have the conversation, just to start talking about the individual, to get a sense of the behavior. So I left some time if there's anyone who may have some questions.
Chandra, actually, I'm going to take it back, and then we'll do the Q&A. But you
Okay,
had
sure.
some other resources after this slide, right?
Sure. After this particular slide, there is a resource. I do want to point out, you do not have to be a gambling, expert. If anything, when you take away, you want to walk away here, I want you to walk away with this particular number, 1-800-GAMBLER. This is the National Gambling Helpline. So if anyone has a problem, or you may run into someone that has a problem, just need a space to talk or where to go, just refer them to 1-800-GAMBLER. Each particular state utilizes this particular number as the helpline, and they will be able to filter them out to the appropriate place for help to receive services. So you do not have to worry about becoming a gambling expert, but 1-800-GAMBLER is the number that you can utilize for help.
Plus, as I take this back from Chandra, she has wonderful resources for us. So, okay, want to show my screen before we go to Q&A. And if you have any other questions, be sure to put them in there, and we will definitely have time to answer some of them. And Chandra has lots of answers. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, Chandra. That was so helpful. So a few final thoughts. No one chooses to have money problems, but most people do. That's how I started with you. Here's the good news, though. No one can or needs to know everything about money, but everyone needs to know certain things about money. If you are a problem gambler, if you are a clinician, if you are in an office with other people, each person's need to know certain things will be different, but there are certain things we should all know. But often clients are feeling overwhelmed by everything financial. So at that point, they often just disconnect from their money, and we don't want them to do that, obviously. So everyone has a relationship with money and with self, and most need healed. Healing your relationship with yourself takes time, honesty, less self-criticism, and more self-love. And healing your relationship with your money begins with those thoughts, feelings, attitudes, values, experiences with money. When we talk about money, what are we really talking about? Well, we're certainly talking about survival, safety, and security, but we are especially talking about power, because unfortunately, those who have the money have the power, and we want to empower our clients when it comes to money. So as we wind down these few final thoughts, I encourage everyone to never stop working to make peace and make friends with your money. When we view money as a negative in our lives or as an enemy, again, we're going to avoid it, disconnect from it, burn out around it. And we need so desperately to stop raising generation after generation of financially illiterate men and women. And we do that by preparing our youth for the real world and teaching them about money. There exists too strong a relationship between finances and suicide. That shouldn't and doesn't have to be a death sentence. We always want to help everyone choose life. A few final resources if you're new to our monthly free webinar. Next month, we have another great webinar on disrupting the cycles of poverty and foster care with financial social work. And in August, we have the Director of Education from Experian, which is a credit reporting agency. And every year he does a webinar for us to update us on everything new with credit scores. And there are always new and important things about credit scores, because all of our lives revolve around our credit score. I'd like you to know also that last year we started the Financial Health and Wellness Professional Community. It is designed to help all of those in whatever area of money to interact, learn, network, connect, expand client resources, and support each other across diverse client populations. And you can learn more about that at financialsocialwork.com. And you should know that we also have a partner program that if you refer someone to us, you just have to click on that $sign when you're logged into our website, and you will get a link, and you can share that with your colleague, and they will save 10%, and you will receive 10% of that sale. On our website, we have many wonderful essays written by our graduates on many different topics to learn from. Currently, we are promoting a pay what you can fee for the certification, which has been $695 for several years, but because of the economy, we are using this model currently. At the full price, it does include a 1-year membership in our professional community. All of these fees are the same materials, and it is on an honor basis for those who can afford it to pay more and those who can't to pay less. The certification is 6 months long. Most of our students do finish it in 3 to 4, but some don't. It is self-study and self-paced. It includes all the materials, and the workbooks are quite beautiful, actually. It includes the final exam. It also includes a beautiful certificate, and it is renewable every 3 years. So now we are ready for questions. Linda, do we have questions?
Yes, we do. We have a very engaged audience. And Chandra, thank you for that presentation. We do have a number of questions for you, Chandra, and then there's one also for you, Rita. Chandra, someone is asking about, that catchy slogan, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And she's asking, is that true? And what do you think of that marketing approach?
So definitely what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I still say that all the time, and I use that in terms of my training. From a marketing from a marketing approach, the marketers are there to market. That's their job. Their job is to entice you. Their job is to encourage you to spend money that you may have or you may not have. Our particular job as financial, social workers is to be aware of the tools that are utilized. If you look at different places in terms of the casinos, and this happens to do with marketing, that a lot of money is put into a lot of money is put into the design of certain establishments to keep you entertained, so that you're able to spend money a little bit long, in order to spend money much longer than you need to be, or stay in a space that you much longer need to be. It is helpful from a marketing standpoint if that establishment is there to make money. From an individual standpoint, it can be very harmful, because if I have a problem, then I may not want to open up and share with someone that this is what's going on, because now I have to confront why I was there. I now have to begin to confront why I was doing what I'm doing. And I have to now begin to confront the reality of the matter.
I think also what happens in Vegas can't possibly stay in Vegas when all of the things that you talked about in the training occur. If they've taken money from their family, if they've stolen money, if any of the things they've done, that's not staying in Vegas.
It's not, and you can now begin to take Vegas, because that was the spot, because everyone was like, go here, I can go and I can get away from that. Before the land of social media, I was able to go there. But now in the land of 2023, Vegas can be my own household.
That's for sure.
I don't have to leave my house.
Well,
That's
that's a really good way to frame our next question. And that is, in addition to the 12 steps that you shared, Chandra, what is treatment like now that you can gamble from home?
What does treatment look like now that you can't gamble from home? Treatment can look like in the days of 2023, that because we do have virtual telehealth, it can look like treatment, being able to receive treatment from home through a telehealth provider, someone that provides that. Now, in terms of treatment for an individual that may be struggling with disorder gambling, it is still the practice of connecting with a counselor, a licensed professional counselor, a licensed clinical, therapist, a licensed addictions counselor, to receive that particular psychotherapy. It is the hope that you will be able to connect with a person that specializes in gambling, counseling, or gambling in the gambling field. But we realize there's not a lot of counselors, but it's a hope that you're able to receive that support from a therapist. Two is the hope that you're able to connect with a GA group, or be able to have a sponsor and build your own community. A lot of, during the pandemic, there were a lot of open meetings that a lot of individuals were able to go to, GA meetings. So a lot of individuals found themselves being able to create community online. In terms of that, space. So being able to have the mental health and professional treatment, as well as being able to have what is called peer recovery support.
Very good. Thank you so much. And now a question for Rita. You've piqued someone's interest. They've asked if you could please explain a little more about pay what you can.
Well, we know that in this economy, it is difficult for many people financially. The inflation, all of the various looming possibilities of defaults and financial problems, bank closings. We wanted to make sure that the certification was available to as many people as possible. And we did this because we know that certainly social workers have a code of ethics, and they will pay what they can afford to. And if you can't afford the full price, then you can go as low as $395 and have this really valuable certification that's designed to help you change and improve your financial future, personally as well as professionally. And with that note, Linda, I know you have another meeting, so we will go ahead and wrap this up with another big thank you to Chandra for that wonderful presentation. People are definitely writing in their appreciation for you. And we hope to see you all back here next month for our monthly free webinar. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Olga, too. Bye now.